Yeah. Cold air, bright flame, hit a crest when we enter. When the crest covers, circle tight, we remember. Power in the whispers, protection in the spell. Etching in our bloodline, yeah, we know it well. Strong minds, strong hearts, every sigil intentional. Love keeps us guarded, magic multi-dimensional. We rise together, no throne, no lone caster. Sisters and brothers, every spell cast faster. Ice in the wind, but the bonds stay warm. Through shadow and storm, we transform. This ain't fear, this is faith in motion. When the crest covered, strength, love, devotion.
This is the Wintercrest podcast. And I thank you for joining me today, Wintercrest and friends of Wintercrest. We just had a wonderful full moon session in our convent. It was online, and there was an eclipse. The magical energies were dynamic. There's a lot you can do with that. During the teaching of that session that we had, it had dawned on me that there's a lot of people talking magic, but don't have a clue what magic is about. They follow rituals and they repeat what they've heard other people say, but they have not really delved into it themselves. There's a Greek word by the name of gnosis, and this is where we get the word Gnostic from. This word represents an experimental knowledge. It's not just the word for knowledge, it's an experimental knowledge, knowing through experience. When I was teaching and I was thinking, I said, well, we need to kind of catalog these teachings. And we need to kind of put in recording and do lectures around the world and place them inside of books, what magic is and why magic is, because there's a lot of stuff out there. And most of it I don't agree with. Now, there was this one particular magical guy that said he was talking about things being improbable and impossible. And he's a well-known teacher in the magical community. And he said if something is impossible, then it's impossible even in magic. And he goes on to talk about improbable. See, improbable means it's not really likely, but impossible means that it's not going to happen. It cannot happen. And so there's a saying, just because it's improbable does not mean it's impossible. However, there's many in the magical community who believes with all that's within them that there are certain things we cannot do magically. Now, I am totally against that. I'm about the woo. For full disclosure, I do not believe that there is nothing magic cannot do. I believe that magic can do what you will consider impossible. Now, some magicians, some witches get upset with that because they think, well, you're just trying to make magic, real magic, like Harry Potter. Well, why not? Just because you can't do something doesn't mean it can't be done. Anybody can pick up a basketball, but not anybody can play like Michael Jordan. Anybody can pick up some golf clubs, but not anybody can swing them like Tiger Woods. Anybody can pick up a microphone to sing, but not anyone can sing like Fantasia. It is possible that amazing things can be done. And on this podcast and in my many magical books and magical works, I will attempt to stress, teach, and show that those things can be done. Not to prove anybody wrong, but to give insight to the witch, the sorcerer, the necromancer who don't want to be boxed in with limitation. Hell, if I wanted to be normal, I wouldn't be a witch. I would be something else. An atheist or an agnostic. I would be something else. I wouldn't be a witch. I've come to magic because I believe in the woo, and I'm not embarrassed of it. I believe that things are possible. Yes, I believe that you can walk the water. I believe that your shadow can move. I believe in the communication with things. I believe that you can levitate. You can use psychokinesis. I believe that these things are very much possible and are happening. And just because you have not witnessed them doesn't mean it doesn't work. I don't believe that science dictates what is possible for those of us in the magical craft. No, I believe we determine what we can and can't do. We determine that. No one else, just us. There's a question in the Bible, and the question is there anything too hard for God? Magic is the exercising of the power of God. Now, if we demystify the word God and get rid of the term and just call God divinity, I believe we'll better understand what we're saying. Pythagoras had a better term for God. The term was monad. Now, monad is a word that symbolizes all things. And many in Gnostic faiths and in Gnostic scriptures alluded or talked directly about the monad. And they gave spiritual or religious paths in obtaining knowledge and understanding of monad. Monad just simply means all there is. The entity, the divinity of all there is. And there's nothing missing in this divinity. This divinity is not necessarily male or female. We say God and Goddess because it manifests itself in these fashions. But the monad itself is not male or female. So when we talk of the monad, we're talking about an entity that is all encompassed. Einstein called this entity the Block universe. Scientists will refer to the energy of the entity as energy. Okay? But this entity, whatever you call it, whatever you name it, is the building blocks for all that is. All things emanates from the entity. And we need to spend time here. Let me say this before we go further, because I want you clear on what I'm saying. There is no logical reason the universe should exist. There was a song a long time ago, and the song said, "Nothing from nothing is nothing. You got to have something if you want to be with me. Nothing from nothing is nothing." The scientist Penrose said that nothing cannot be in any position to question its nothingness because it's nothing. Only something can question its existence. And no matter how strange the something is, it has to be something in order to question its existence. So the question is, who started the first thing? Where did the first thing come from? If you say that God created the heavens and the earth, the question is, who created God? Who made him? The Christians will say that God is self-fashioned. How is that possible? Some will say that God never had a beginning point, that God is eternal, and that God has always existed. How is that possible? How can you never had a starting point, but you've always been there? That is the equivalent of someone standing in a pool of water, but they never got in the pool. They never got in the pool, but they've always been in the pool. That's what that is saying. So the universe, the multiverse, doesn't make sense. There is no logical reason for you and I to be here. There is no logical reason for you to be listening to me or for me to be talking to you. The universe itself then must be magical. There is no logical reason. There is no 2 + 2 that will make 4 that will ever explain how a God have always existed or a God created himself or herself. There is nothing there. So we have to establish that the universe is magical. And if the universe is magical, that means all things are possible in magical thinking. Now, I know some people don't like this. No, I've gone to Harvard. I've gone to Princeton. I am sophisticated in my knowledge. I am an engineer. I am a scientist. I went to Caltech. I went to MIT. And I know that the math is just not mathing. It's not adding up. That what you're saying, Mr. Raffi, is not correct. But when we get to the singularity, Penrose even said that the universe didn't begin with a big bang. What was beyond the bang? What was beyond your string theory? What was beyond your theory of everything? Well, we don't know. Of course, you don't know. But if you logically think about it, Mr. or Miss Scientist, we're going to run into the same problem, because when you get to the first cause that gave the first rise, you still have to answer the question, where did it come from? And because they don't have no good answers, they say stupid shit like this. It came from the future. Like, that ain't magical thinking. You borrow something from the future, how you going to pay it back? Where are you going to go to make it to pay it back? How are you going to give it back to the future from the past? And if you are the past, when are you in the past, being the past, in the state of the past, going to ever become the future in order to pay it back? See, the point is that the universe is a magical place. And those that stop wrestling with this, those that stop fighting it, will understand it's a magical place. So now I need to understand how this magical place works. I need to understand how does it work? How can I move in this space? How can I exist in this space? See, I'm through trying to explain to those that are not going to believe anyway why I believe that all things are possible, why I'm so in the woo, why I'm so there. And because I'm through trying to convince the non-believer of what I believe, I can go on with my wooishness. I can go on believing my magic and believing what it is. Once I've done that, then I can stop pursuing things that are less worthy of magic. So I'm not just pursuing cute women. I'm pursuing the right cute women. I'm not just pursuing what it means to make a living according to the muggles or the Cowans or society. I'm learning all that I can so that I can be the highest degree, the strongest magical practitioner I can be. That's what I'm doing. I've understood that the universe is magical. So now, how do I perfectly align myself with this magic so that my life can reflect my belief? And you got people out there, and they got part of it. You got people with part of things. The people that say, well, the law of attraction, the meditate and affirm, and especially in the New Age, we jump from one thing to the other thing and never really completely exhaust the teaching to where we really learn how to do the magics. We just get, unique things, and we say crazy things without understanding what those things are. And we get into a place kind of like the bizarreness that Jim Carrey kind of represents. And no dispersions with him, but he was at this place and he said some profound things, and some of it was washed down, misunderstood words from Alan Watts mixed with some New Age mumbo jumbo. And he said things to this lady, and she didn't really know how to take this. He said, well, since all of this is useless anyway, I just tried to find the most useless thing I can come to, and I came to this useless thing. This is just crazy what the brother said. Okay? Instead of just saying, hey, I wanted to come here because I thought it would be fun. That would be more spiritually true. That would be, see, we get so deep, we get caught up in that, in the ego to the point, with the ego period, where we don't hear how stupid we sound. And you got to be careful about that ego, because see, that ego can make you You would think you're spiritual. You would think you're being spiritual. You would think you're being right. You would think you have it all together. You would think, and you don't understand flip. Okay? Now, Brother Jim Carrey, in my opinion, should have just simply said, hey, I wanted to come out to see what all this was about. I'm enjoying myself. Or I think this is boring. This is aburrido. I'm going home. I'm going to leave. Okay? He could have made any declaration like that. But no, he didn't. He tried to be deep, and he ended up being dumb deep. And on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, some of y'all should stop it. You just dumb deep, have no understanding about anything. I was listening, I think his name is The Broken Prophet. And The Broken Prophet was saying that we shouldn't classify ourselves as black people as witches. Witches don't even want to be witches. What the hell you know about it? You don't know what we want. You ain't asked us. First of all, you're not my daddy. You can't tell me what I can call myself. And second of all, how dare you tell me what my ancestors are saying about me that disagree with what my ancestors were and what they did? You don't know my ancestors. You don't know what it is. Listen, you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. You can be whatever you want to be. You can be as magical as however you want to be magical. If you're part of those craftings, don't you dare allow other people to vilify them. There's beauty in being a witch. There's beauty in being a sorcerer. There's beauty in being a necromancer, if you understand what those terms are. A lot of people don't understand what the terms are. A lot of people have no clue of what those terms are. So if you want to call yourself a warlock, I have no problems with that. There's this thing going on right now that they're saying that witches don't serve Satan because Satan don't exist. Who are you to tell somebody who exists and what doesn't, and how they view that being that does exist? What if they created an egregore that exists in that capacity? You have no clue what they've done. You may not agree with what they've done, but you have no right to tell nobody what they have a right to do and not do in the craft. You can speak of what is true in the craft to you and what you believe and what you follow. But you don't have a right to tell me Satan don't exist if that's what I want to do. Now, I am not a Satanist. I do not worship a devil. But there are some satanic witches, and what their practice is, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, is all right. As long as it's involving consenting adults, it's all right. People that can think for themselves is okay. So what my aims are on this podcast is to make plain my view of divinity and how I see divinity. And if this sounds good to you, then join me and help me. Help me to speak to those that really want to walk this way, that want to do these things. Let's come together. Let's join forces. We don't have to agree about everything, and that's the beauty about the Wintercrest Convent. We don't have to agree about everything. You can be a satanic witch, a Christian witch, a warlock, or a sorcerer. I can be the witch that I am, and we can come together and talk things occultic and go to seminars. Take what you can, leave what you can't take, and let your craft become stronger. This can be a beautiful world. A world where we come together and enjoy each other fellowship. You may not believe in a woo, but I believe in it all with everything in my heart. And we can still be friends. We can still come together. We can still have fellowship. Just when we're done, you go do your scientific magic. I'm going to go do my wooish magic. And we still hope for the same result. We hope and believe for the same results. And I believe that's the time we're in. So Wintercrest, it's time to really learn. It's time to study these teachings like your favorite songs. And that's why we're putting singing together, we're putting teaching together, we're doing things so that we're not like the muggles. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying that we're better than they are, but I'm saying that our lives should look magical. We should walk magical. We should behave magical. Our lives should be easier because of the magic within it. We should be protected. We should be safe. We should be healed. We should be getting stronger because of the magic. I have a lot to say about this, and I hope that you listen to these podcasts, and I hope that you really pay attention to what is being said. And I hope it blesses you. I hope it benefits you. Thank you for listening to the Wintercrest podcast. Wintercrest, you know I love you. Friends, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, this is Paul Rafu. Blessed be.
Yeah. Cold air, bright flame, hit a crest when we enter. When the crest covers circle tight, we remember. Power in the whispers, protection in the spell. Etching in our bloodline, yeah, we know it well. Strong minds, strong hearts, every sigil intentional. Love keeps us guarded, magic multidimensional. We rise together, no throne, no lone caster. Sisters and brothers, every spell cast faster. Ice in the wind, but the bonds stay warm. Through shadow and storm, we transform. This ain't fear, this is faith in motion. When the crest covered, strength, love, devotion.